We are about weddings. We're kind of weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs kind of a band. I mean, on a deadly serious basis, I think, the most joyful moments and some of the saddest, most despairing moments, people cling to our music. And, we're not really, in the songwriting, we try to avoid the us and them situation and the kind of easy agit-prop politicking you can do. And, at the heart of all these tragedies is always the human heart and the human spirit and the hypocrisy of the human heart and the spirit. And that's really what our songs are about.
I think more than messages, our songs ask questions. And I think our search is to try and find the right questions to ask. And I don't think we try and offer up the answers because it's way too complicated. But almost creating the tension of contradicting points of view. Just, you can say, somewhere between here and here is what we're after. And I think our fans get it. We're not interested in slogans or boiling it down to some cheap jingoism. It's we're looking for. We don't want to fall into that trap.
I want it to be a absolute great night out. I mean,
that's true
for us as well as our audience. I mean, that's, in the end, it's a rock and roll band, and we make a joyful noise, but it is a noise, and you heard it at full. The roar of those engines. There's an amazing PA we've built for this show as well. I don't think there's ever been a PA quite like this. So there's nowhere in the stadium where you can't hear the best possible sound, and that's a thing of pride as well.
You decided to use the power of your status to help people. As far as you can.
It's the power of the platform as much as we have a platform.
Yeah, but I mean, we come from.
To decide what to do.
Well, sorry for cutting across. We come from a tradition of music and politics. I mean, the Clash. We grew up with the Clash. Nobody knew what the Sandinistas were, and nobody knew. I mean, Casbah. I mean, I didn't know what a Casbah was before. I went and had a look. Yeah. All those things, and Bob Marley. So these are people that we respected and understood the power that they had and what they were singing about, and it wasn't just get your rocks off. So there is a tradition in music, Bob Dylan, where politics and music mix, and it is fair to say that we push the envelope, but it's you connect with your audience, and our audience have very high expectations.
So we think of Aung San Suu Kyi, who tomorrow, in the country of Burma, will find out if she is to spend the next 5 years in prison for believing in freedom and equality for her people, the Burmese people.
For us.
Is that the true function of a band today, to play an active role in society, not just great night rock?
No, I think there's room for everybody, and I think there's room for everything at a U2 show. You don't have to come along to a U2 show and be interested at all in politics. You should be able to come to a U2 show and just have a great night out. That's as relevant and as important, because we are a rock and roll band.
Radio Tehran, turn on your radio.
Have you, as you grow older, become more aware of these issues? I mean, you've been involved in these kinds of issues as a band and as individuals for quite a long time now. But as you get older,
I'm certainly more and more realizing this that it all comes down to, as I was saying earlier, the human heart and the human spirit, and that music is, can thaw the hardest hearts.
Yes.
And keeps the spirit supple and available and able to change. And I think as you get older, it's hard to change, but you've got to believe that you can, and that people can change. I mean, you've seen intractable problems like Ireland. And wow, we live in a peaceful country pretty much. It's broke right now, but it's peaceful. And who'd have thought that could happen? People say they can never find, a solution to what's going on in the Middle East. I don't believe them. Sane, rational people will emerge from the madness. But music will be whispering in their ears, the same as it whispered in our ears. When I was 12 years old and looking out of a little small box room in north side of Dublin, and John Lennon was whispering in my ear and telling me I could change my world. And I didn't know if it was just the world of my bedroom or what was outside the window. But in the end, I do believe that it starts with your own personal life, and then you try to bring that logic of love to the wider world and do your best,
She has spent the best part of 20 years under house arrest for a crime that if she were free to face a free and fair election, she would surely win that election. That is her crime, and tomorrow we will find out her fate.
You share that concern with those issues, with those kinds of issues? Or is Donald pulling you along?
No. I mean, we came from punk rock. We came from a situation of not accepting what the grown-ups were telling us. And also, I think being Irish, I mean, not that I'm particularly Irish, but being Irish...
You have an Irish passport.
you understand the role of music and social comment. A lot of traditional Irish music was politically orientated, and that's just much more interesting than, folk songs that talk about dancing around the maypole.
I'm just getting into the dancing around the maypole material myself. Yeah.
But what are the issues that concern you now?
Well, our band have been great supporters of the One campaign, and there's 2.5 million Americans signed up for the One campaign, and that's just people who say there's something just not right about an accident of geography, an accident of latitude or longitude, deciding whether AIDS is a death sentence or not. For example, just to pick one, global health issue. You get it in London, you get it in New York. You're going to live like Magic Johnson. You get it in Dakar. You get it in other places in Africa, and you hadn't a chance. And arguing it as a point of justice rather than charity. That's what the One campaign's about, and we started out of the debt cancellation stuff, and we've kept going, and again, it's this onward march of equality, of justice, and Americans have done an amazing job, and President Bush, who gets a lot of stick, did an incredible thing with bipartisan support, but there's nearly 4 million people in the world now on AIDS drugs as a result of initiatives that started in the Bush administration. And you have to give it up to the Americans for that.
That issue of bringing social activism, politics into your music, has that improved your music?
It's hard to get good rhymes for things like debt cancellation. I think, it's just, we do that around the music. We try to keep the music, strip it down to songs that are much more personal than political, and the same with these shows. What you're looking at over our head is this, attempt, as surreal and as mad as it looks. It's an attempt to get close to our audience.
You stay together, four guys from one school. You stay together all this time, and you reach the heights, the very, very top. What was your ambition at that time?
Get to the end of the song.
Early on,
which was hard. To get to the end of the song in time and in tune. And that was really hard.
And today?
I mean, we formed our band before we could play. And it's preposterous, really.
So what is your message to young people today?
Get the spirit right.
Yeah.
Imagination over execution sometimes. The execution will catch up.
Oh, write about what you care about. I think that's the thing. Resonance will only happen if you care about what you're singing about.
And loyalty.
Loyalty.
Yeah. Look after each other.
To what?
To each other. To stick to the idea and see it through.
And so from Zagreb, from Croatia, from the West Balkans, we send her a message of love on an ancient Irish melody.